You have to communicate the value, you have to sell it, which is why a big part of bringing you into looking at these shots is, would you buy this?
Welcome to the Business and Pleasure of Flowers. We're your hosts, Vonda Lefevre
and Lori Wilson, and we believe that business and fun are a perfect combination. Kind of like us, Vonda.
Hello, Vonda, and hello, Ellie.
Hello, Lori.
Hello, Lori, and hello, Vonda.
Hello, Ellie.
I'm glad we're all speaking to one another. We're speaking terms. I think that's a good sign, don't you?
I think it really is. After we spent so much time together, still speaking and loving each other is a big one.
I didn't say loving. I said speaking.
Okay, sorry.
I'm kidding. You know I always love you. But yes, we just got back from our photo shoot. How many times a year do we do these? How many?
We usually do them more often, but we have a special event coming up in October that we're not able to do a photo shoot in September. So here we were getting fall,
Double,
Christmas, and Valentine's Day all packed in.
Yes, because we have a wedding. Someone's getting hitched in October.
Yeah. Vonda got me a hat.
Vonda
A special hat.
A special hat. I did.
She kept putting it on your head.
I couldn't get her to wear it very often.
It's adorable in it.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I understand your point about if I wear it, I might get more free stuff. So maybe we'll get upgraded on the plane. You never know.
Is that why you bought it?
No, I really thought it was
Strategy.
cute. Julie and I were shopping and we're like, oh my gosh, we should get her this because we knew she wouldn't wear the shirt that says going to the chapel.
No. Well, tell everybody what the hat says.
It says, gonna get married.
Very cute.
Like the little song.
Here's my only issue with the hat. You know what I'm going to say?
Okay.
No.
Well, think about it.
It's not pink.
Right.
Yeah. It's blue. It's my something blue.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Okay, Lori.
Okay. That'll work. I've thought about it for days. Like, why is it blue?
Why is it blue?
Why is it blue? Yeah, pink. It should be a pink. I'm going to get married hat. Anyway. Anyway, we got back from the photo shoot. It was a very long photo shoot. We did a lot of shooting.
You know what? Honestly, it was no longer than we're now normally there. I was there for 8 days. And that's not unusual. I'm usually there for 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
I think it was the amount of product, the amount of finished designs and finished photographs that we got done was what was like, OMG. We've never done that many in that short of a time before.
I've got a lot of questions because I told you guys I wanted to jump on and do a podcast about it because we've talked about our photo shoots before, but I wanted to talk about them from a little bit different perspective. But here's what I keep wrestling with in my mind, why this one for me felt so different. Like our sympathy photo shoot was massive when we did that last sympathy. I mean, it was like, crazy. Yeah. But this one felt harder for me. And I can't figure out why this one felt more stressful.
Because you had more on your shoulders. The thing that I'm most proud about that I will circle back to how this relates to you is, like, normally this takes so much time, so much money, so much effort, so much physical labor, blah, 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 for literally just pictures on a screen at the end of the day, which obviously are a lot more than that, but they are pictures on a screen. So, but this shoot, we really maximized every angle from the product shots that go on all the websites to cool environmental shots that we did new this year.
Yeah.
Different with hands and poses or whatever. And then the social ones, you got social for absolutely everything and social videos for everything, for content for our members. Whereas before it was like kind of more casual. Like you did everything, but you weren't checking everything off, all the social, all the video, all this. And so you were like really meticulous this time on keeping all your ducks in a row, making sure nothing was missed. Like,
which isn't my strength. I mean,
and I think that's why
energy for me.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was harder for you because you felt more pressure to make sure we had absolutely everything. Like you were kind of our project manager.
Yeah, which is
in a way.
Yeah. So it was weird. This one's like hard.
Well, and let's be honest, we would go, oh, this is mix 1. No, this is mix 2. Oh, no, this is this. Oh, no. Oh, and we would keep changing.
We have this phase too. As much prep work as we did with all the checklists, there's always more stuff that we add and change. And then it's up to you to like try to keep track of all of that, which...
And the binders.
Isn't your favorite thing in the world.
The binders.
Freaking binders. If I was on Jetfest, I could curse, but I'm not. So I'm
the
not
freaking binders.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that.
Binders. Because then we'd be shooting something and then Vonda would
Where's the page? Where is the page? I don't see the page.
Which isn't in the binder.
It's not in the binder.
And then I just create a piece of paper and add it to a note. And then Vonda
after spiraling.
Well, we can't do this one because we're not going to be able to source that flower. And then everything changes. And like in real time, what was just created is not going to be a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I was like, we need to talk about this because this is the reality of Flower Clique. Because this was the hard part. What I was looking at watching Vonda is, to me, I'm like, this is what sucks about Vonda's job.
What was really easy, let's talk about that first, is the Luxe line that we created.
Oh.
And we had beautiful, over-the-top, fabulous designs that will be $250 to $500 easily.
Yeah, easy.
And Ellie, aren't those easier to shoot?
Yeah, because you can add another rose here, another peony there, another ranunculus there, and
Vonda didn't yell at you when you asked one.
Yep, for sure. And they look beautiful. They're just easier to shoot because they're so beautiful.
Yeah,
on its own.
And so we were doing that, and then we would shift gears to this needs to be a $79 design. This needs to be a $99 design. Mm-hmm. Then you can't add an extra flower, and you have to worry about perceived value. Is the customer going to feel like this is what they're paying for? Is this really a $99 value? So a couple times I was like, not very nice, and it was tough.
It got tough, especially on hour 11 of the day, and we're still shooting.
You have to put as much effort into hour 11 as you do hour 1.
Exactly.
And that sucks.
I'm going to start with my questions here. And if we've already said it, tell me to skip on. So what is something that people might not realize when you go about creating a single photo for the website? I mean, just working on one photo.
Well, stating the obvious, it's not like a social media shot that it looks nice on social media because it's small, because these are going on websites. It needs to be really good resolution. Ellie can talk into that more. You got to have those little tiny details.
Mm-hmm. I think it might take 5 to 10 minutes to make a design and 15 to 45 minutes to actually shoot it and get it to a final image. It's a lot easier to design than it is to photograph. I think the hardest thing, the word of the week, the thing that I think is the hardest to convey from 3D to 2D is perceived value.
Yeah.
And 100%. Once you get that little snap and you see it on your computer, we just have to constantly ask, does that look like it's worth $79? And then from there, you do a different angle. I think that was one of your other questions that you had for us was like, how do you decide on the angle? And that comes down to perceived value too, because a small design in a small vase with a high angle, you just see flowers in a little vase. You can't see that maybe it is kind of a tall arrangement. So if you go down on the angle a little bit, you see more of the vase, you see more of the height of the design. And then it's like, oh, okay, I can picture that that's not just a tiny blob of flowers.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that's what you're looking at. Not only are you looking through the camera lens, but then you turn back around and you're looking at the computer immediately. You and Vonda both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the angle has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, it has to communicate the value. We're not working with flowers that are on wires that you can just position up and down and face them the right way. Like, we're not doing that. They're all natural. So the angle is one thing, and then you got to get the flowers to look like you can actually see what they are. So you have to communicate the value, you have to sell it, which is why a big part of bringing you into looking at these shots is, would you buy this? Do you have confidence looking at this photo that you're going to add it to your cart?
Yeah.
That part of it.
If I took a shot every time you guys, I had to have been drunk the entire week. The entire week.
We would get it almost done and we go, okay, Lori,
buy this. Would you buy this? Would you buy this?
Yep.
Would you? And a lot of times it's like,
you would say no.
She'd have to preface it. Now, I know you don't like this color. Because
and who would you buy this for?
Who would you buy this for? Because it just depends, right? I was like, I don't like that color, but I would have bought that for my Aunt Sandra because to her color. So I would buy.
And if you're like, I wouldn't buy that for anybody, and I don't know who would buy that for anybody, then it's like, okay, back to the work table and redesigning it.
Exactly.
Vonda would grab it, take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Try.
All right.
I like it. It's ugly.
We'll try again. Let's do it again.
So,
but it takes that whole process, though. Really, it does.
So, speaking of, how do you balance, Vonda, creativity with profitability? Like, I feel like that's the theme of the entire photo shoot. You know, it's a constant battle there. Creativity and profitability.
I think one thing that I will say, and I know that good designers will agree with me, other designers will maybe challenge it, and that is a really good designer can take any flower you give them, set of flowers, and make a beautiful design, and keeping in mind the profitability. I have these flowers that I can use to make $100 arrangement. And people will look at them and go, I don't know. And each one of the designers I know would make something a little bit different, but keeping in mind that it has to be a good perceived value is something another designer might not think of. A lot of designers are just like, okay, I can make something pretty with that. But is it going to look like $100?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, were there any designs that we had and we ended up just having to scrap them because profitability wise, they just weren't. I do remember a couple of conversations, like, because I'm over there, you know, on Trello on my computer uploading, and I can hear, I'm not going to call them arguments, but there were murmurings between you guys up there. Like, you can't do that. We can't do that. It's going to cost you much. And thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be a super expensive one. Were there times where we were like, just scrap it because we can't make that affordable?
I don't think it's a scrap, but it's like, get it on the camera. It does not look as big or beautiful as it does in person for $159. And then it's like, how do we rework this? I'm constantly asking, okay, roughly what's this cost? And then seeing how it looks flat on the camera. Do we need to give it more air? That's usually what it takes, is just giving it more air to breathe and not so compact to be able to represent, because also we have multiple sizes in a collection and making sure that it adequately perceives itself in that lineup. So, yeah.
Now, I would say they weren't scrapped. Like Ellie said, she would make a comment and she'd say, no, that does not look like $129. So it would go back to the design table and we would redesign it. We would just use those same flowers and give it that perceived value. Because sometimes you want to make it a little more creative, right? You want to have more style to it. But sometimes that doesn't translate. Let's say many times it doesn't translate into a good perceived value. Great style, beautiful lines, everything else. But when it doesn't have perceived value, if it's going on the internet, it's going on the websites, it's not going to sell.
There's so much pre-planning that Vonda does beforehand. So it's not like she's just making up flowers on the fly there, really. So we're kind of past the point of scrapping something. You've already pre-planned and you've already priced out in most cases roughly. So I'll give us a little credit there. Like, we're already pros at that, but reworking definitely happens every day.
The other thing that I noticed in my observing from where I sit in our little team here is you, Vonda, you were getting onto us about, yeah, that looks great, but that's not deliverable. Like, that's a thing. You literally think of all of those things. And yes, Ellie and I understand, but that's not always the forefront of our mind. And you're like, we can't do that flower there. That's going to fall out, or that's going to, like, every little thing you have to think about.
And I will have to say, I was really glad that my good friend Julie Pottler was there, because she would back me up on those things.
Well, right. But I'm saying it takes everybody. But you look at those, like, these little details, because it looked beautiful in the picture.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous on camera.
It's the most beautiful picture. But if we post that on a website and then the person delivered that flower fall, it's just going to be a catastrophe.
Well, I didn't know how our driver Kenny would have been, Ellie. He would have not made it with that little butterfly ranunculus where it was. It was gorgeous, but man, oh man, Kenny would have just stuffed it back in the vase and taken it to the door.
But that's what I'm saying. These are hard conversations. And by the end of the day, and we're like, man, we're all elevated. So that segues in. These were stressful moments. Let's talk stressful moments of these shoots. What for you, Ellie, what's the most stressful moment that you felt?
Like I said, we did these new environmental shots with like hands holding them or whatever. And I was the one that was holding all of them. And so I was having to do outfit changes. I'd go to our other little set. I'd throw on a white shirt, a white apron. I'd have to make sure you understood like the focus and you were behind the camera.
I was photographer.
You were the photographer and I was the model, which is not my favorite.
And nor my favorite photographer.
Yes. But I will say I'm really loving how the shots came out. So it was worth it. It wasn't one of those things like we did all this work and like, maybe we'll use them, maybe we're not. Like, I think they're really nice and great. And so it paid off. But I think definitely having to switch complete gears was stressful. Yeah. The other thing was like getting the patience when you're on shot number 50 of tweaking something.
Yes.
And everybody gets a little testy. And then it's like the tiniest details. And sometimes you just want to say like, okay, it's good enough, but you can't. You have to have the perfectionism.
Right.
Right. At every shot. So that was annoying, but that's life. That's showbiz, baby, as they say.
It is. That's showbiz. You are so right, Ellie. That last tweak, and you just want to say, just that's enough. It's fine. It's fine. But
the part that I get a little impatient, it's because I can Photoshop anything. Which I know you want to make my life easier, but I know, like, okay, that little piece of evergreen, I'm just going to erase that in Photoshop or whatever. So some of those things, but at the end of the day, it does make my life easier when I don't have to do as much of that. So
right. And we want the photo to be as authentic as possible, right?
Exactly. For sure.
We just Photoshop everything because that's not what we do. But when it's hour 12 or 13 at the end of the day.
Day 7. Yeah.
Day 7 and our feet hurt and.
Oh my gosh. The feet.
My skin feels disgusting. I'm like, just Photoshop it. Let's move on. And Vonda's like, we do not just do okay. We're not those kind of people. Blah, blah, blah. But, so Vonda, what was what was causing you to be fits?
Just, I think when we have to redo something because the perceived value isn't there. I think that's where I was getting most frustrated.
Yeah.
We'd put it in front of the camera and it would be like, no, it's just not there. We can't do it.
Yeah.
And that would make me upset because I should have been paying more attention before it got to that camera. Then I would get really frustrated. And you guys always knew when I was frustrated. Sorry.
No,
I'm sometimes not the easiest to work with on a photo shoot.
you're easy. We know when you're like that, and we just step back and let you, because there's nothing we can do to. Ellie and I just look at each other and be silent because we know you're going to get through it.
Yeah, I always get through it. In my mind are Flower Clique members. What are they going to say? What are they going to feel? Are their customers going to buy it? All of those pressures come into my mind like, no, we're spending all this time and money to do this and it's going to go nowhere. So like you said, we should just scrap it if that's
scrap it and Photoshop the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we had a shot every time we said like, will the members like this or not? Like we would be drunk for sure first day. But we sent out a survey on product development and, really getting granular on what people like and don't like. And obviously it is so hard to please every single person, but we definitely try our hardest. But that's why I think you were constantly asking, because we've gotten the feedback. We have some data to know. And so just kind of making sure everything's aligned with that was a big part of it.
Yeah, it was super helpful that you did send that out and we got that feedback. But as you know, some of it was 50-50 and we're like,
oh
okay,
my gosh,
well,
a lot of it
somebody's going to be happy, somebody's not. But
we have a little something for everybody. So
we do.
Yeah.
We definitely do.
I think for me, the most, it wasn't even frustration, but the most tense for me was when I was in those moments, as you were mentioning, where like the whole binder stuff. First of all, I had 2 and I needed tabs. That is what I should have had in there. Here's what I've decided, because I've analyzed myself over and over in that person. The obliger in me, where we've talked about personality difference, and the adaptable in me. These 2 parts of me were at war, if you will. So I am adaptable, which is a good thing to be in that position because we were changing constantly. But the obliger in me, who wants to please and make everything right, was really struggling because it was impossible. It just was impossible because I couldn't put the puzzle pieces in the right place because there wasn't a place. If this makes
the first day you weren't very adaptable.
No, because I didn't. There was
You're like, you were in state of confusion because
I was so confused because also, let's back up. The binder criteria was changed. Remember?
It was totally.
Gave me a heads up. We knew, and it makes sense to me. I even had a say in it.
You did.
It's not like I didn't know this was happening.
Right.
But I'm like, wow, what is happening?
Yeah, I think one of the main things we can do for the next shoot is go over that process with you and design a system that works for you the best.
With
a better system.
Tabs, but I'll tell you, I loved having you, Ellie, screenshot the stuff in Trello and like,
it might even eliminate the binder in a way.
Yeah, but I was like, ooh, why are we not doing this? Like this. Anyway, that's a whole nother meeting, but I'm just saying that kind of gave me a little bit of a reprieve, being able to do that. The struggle between being adaptable, but wanting to please and be that team player to get everything right. Those 2 were at war inside of me. And there were 2 different times that if I was to speak, I would have broken down in tears. That I had this huge lump in my throat. And I was like, I got to get control of myself. I got to stop. Like, I got to be an adult here. And it was very early on because I was like a deer in lights. It was just too much. And it's like, I got to stop.
And you got through it. And
I got through it. And it was fine. I can't organize this binder because everything's changing, because it was like mix 1 or 2, mix 1 or 2. And I would ask someone and they're like, we don't know. And I'm like, what? I can't make that decision.
I can't just make it up. Anyways, blast over. They're like, I called Mark that and I was like, I don't think I'm the right person for this job. I don't understand what's happening.
Poor Mark.
Yeah. And then I got to be careful because you know what his solution is.
Just quit. You don't have to have that job.
Quit.
You don't need that job. Yeah.
Anyway.
And then us two will be after Mark. So Mark, if you're listening, don't even
Mark,
try.
It's all good. It's all
don't
good
even
now.
think of it.
It's
Just don't even say that.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Everything is great.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, okay. What's something that we learned from this shoot that we'll do differently next time?
We're going to put tabs in the front. For sure.
We're getting tabs. Yes, we're ordering tabs with the binder.
Maybe having a meeting with you beforehand to go over every collection and tabs.
Yeah.
And maybe do the Trello thing. Truly, that might not be a bad idea. You did a really good job throwing on Trello quickly so that we had the images up there. So we could put sizes and things. I think that was very helpful.
I swear Ellie knows me, and I know she knew I was like
spiral.
Yeah.
And she was, hey, you know what you could do for me? It's like she just knew I gotta help in some way. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I do that. That's a task. I can achieve a task. And so
there's an answer to the task.
There's an answer. There's something
instead of like this ambiguity.
I'm picking up papers, so.
Oh, you were in such a tizzy.
I
think we have a lot of photos of you just so deep in thought, trying to.
And then we have the Kiwi video.
Yeah, just zoning out.
I know. One of these days, I'm gonna wake up, and Flower Clique Instagram is gonna have a story, and I'm gonna click it, and it's gonna be me eating a kiwi. There's nothing I'm gonna.
Everyone watch for that.
Oblivion.
This little. Squirrel.
Are you giving me permission?
No, because it's awful. It's awful.
I like the popcorn. The popcorn's cute.
But the popcorn, I don't think I'm seeing.
You eating popcorn? You're eating popcorn like a little squirrel.
I'm just
staring into
emotionally eating the entire week. Just our whole snack. We have like the craft table,
the snack shelf,
a sitcom show.
Yes, we had the fatigue mats, anti-fatigue mats. I think those helped.
I think they helped a lot.
But maybe getting some like Crocs or something, some better squishy shoes. That'll be good. More extension cords. So we can stop tripping over lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the learnings.
What do you have anything, Vonda?
Tabs.
Mine was tabs.
Tabs are number one. Now,
it's not me that I worry about. It's you, Lori. Oh. And it's Ellie, too. That's why we had to get the fatigue mats because
mats and tabs.
We all were just in our whole bodies
our
were
toes.
aching.
Our toes. And Coke Zero. We drank that whole little 10-pack of little mini Cokes. That was our
Yeah, that was nice. That was a good treat.
It was nice. And Julie. Sweet Julie.
And sweet Layton.
Layton was amazing. We got to have her. Our next one will probably be during school, though.
Probably so. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. We don't even know when the next one is. We're just wanting to get through this. And now our web team has so much to do. Well, we all do. Ellie's got to finish the photos. Little Photoshop here and there. Lots of Photoshop.
One last question, and then we can be done. If a flower shop is listening, non-Flower Clique member, and thinking, why should I care about the web pictures on my website? Most of my customers call and I make whatever they want. What would you tell them? And I'm asking this because I ordered flowers today for my daughter for her birthday. The website was just a basic website with
stock photos.
Yeah. But I called them anyway on a hunch. Talked to them, very pleasant, whatever. Why would you say this is important?
I think there's a few points. For one, beautiful photos build customer trust, increase conversion. They allow you to elevate your brand, allow you to charge more because your work looks premium. Ideally, your website should be working for you, right? And if your photos are not selling for you, you're doing double the labor. You have to then try to sell them even harder when you get on the phone or in person because you don't have like a portfolio. A portfolio is everything as an artist, no matter what kind of artist you are. It shows the work that you're capable of. And that's why it's essential for the customer to look at that photo and actually see what's going on in it. And then to have a recipe that goes with that that's profitable so that your end design, you're actually making money. I mean, it's
Right.
It's everything in an e-commerce digital world that we live in. That's what
I would totally agree with Ellie. I just think that on the website, it's showing a style that you're capable of doing. I mean, obviously, our Flower Clique members are using a style that we do, but it's reflective of a style that's easy to replicate in their store, and it's trendy. It's not just a stock photo, right? That is like, oh, it looks like it's a one-sided arrangement, but it says it's all the way around. I mean, all of those things
And
that we
it's
hear all the time.
$40. Yeah.
Yeah. And the recipe to go with it has more flowers in it than the value that it states on their website. So I think that's important. And also, if you're doing your own photos, I mean, Ellie, you've talked about this before. They need to be realistic and they need to be high quality. And you can't just throw something up there with bad lighting and, stuff in the background. And I mean, just be mindful. If you're doing your own photography, just do it right.
Yeah.
Have a system so that you can work smarter, not harder, like we always say.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, thanks, gals. I'm glad we're still on speaking terms. Good thing.
And you guys are headed.
When this airs, we will have already been to Texas State.
Yep. And then y'all will go to AIFD.
Back on the road.
We'll be at AIFD. So if you are there, come say hi.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Lori.
All right.
Ellie.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed spending time with us because we enjoy spending time with you. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button or add the Business and Pleasure of Flowers to your Google morning routine or your flash briefing on Alexa. We look forward to seeing you next week.
So please come back and join us and discover how a bit of knowledge and one small change in your mindset can take you to new levels in your life and business.